The sky over Earth was gray and tired, just like Sergeant Alex Jensen. Or, more accurately, like Alex after the previous night's celebrations. He rubbed his temples and muttered to himself as he stumbled out of his tiny apartment. The headache throbbed in rhythm with the alarm clock's incessant buzzing, but duty called, or at least the military said it called. Coffee, sleep, or dignity had nothing to do with it anymore. Alex barely remembered the message from command. Humanity has been challenged. Your presence is required. That had sounded serious, very serious. And now, standing in his uniform, that felt slightly tighter than usual after last night's indulgence. Alex realized the seriousness of it. Somewhere far above, in the dark reaches of space, aliens were sending their strongest warrior to Earth. And somehow, the only human ready to face him was Alex. He sighed, slumping against the wall. "Great," he said. "They're sending a monster. And they sent me Hangover. Perfect plan." The military transport was waiting outside. It gleamed under the morning sun, sleek and silver, with humming engines that seemed far too advanced for any human technology Alex had seen. The soldiers around him stood at attention, polished and professional, eyes straight ahead, expressions full of purpose. Alex, in contrast, was a chaotic mixture of regret and stubbornness. Lieutenant Harper, a woman known for her efficiency and unshakable composure, approached him. "Sergeant Jensen," she said crisply, "you are the assigned human representative. For the challenge protocol, the alien envoy is en route. Your performance will determine humanity's reputation." Alex groaned. "Right. Humanity's fate. Resting on me. With a headache." "Got it." Harper did not respond to sarcasm. She only handed him a small device. "This is your communicator. Use it wisely and try not to embarrass us." "I'll try," Alex mumbled. But no promises. As he boarded the transport, Alex noticed the view of Earth fading below him. Cities, forests, oceans, all shrinking into tiny patches of blue and green. Somewhere out there, his opponent waited. A creature so strong, so fearsome, that legends on Earth could not do it justice. And yet Alex's main thought was, "I need more coffee." The transport shook as it entered faster-than-light travel. Alex leaned back in his seat, closing his eyes. The last thing he remembered before the hum of space travel overtook his senses was Lieutenant Harper's voice. "Good luck, Sergeant. Humanity is counting on you." When Alex opened his eyes again, he was somewhere entirely different. The air itself seemed heavier, tinged with a strange metallic scent. The ground beneath him shimmered like glass, reflecting the sky in fragmented colors of green, purple, and gold. Massive crystalline trees stretched toward the horizon, their branches twisting like liquid metal. Alex coughed and muttered, "Welcome to the alien planet. Wonderful. Can I go home now?" He stumbled forward, trying to get his bearings. That's when he noticed them. Figures moving in the distance. Tall, imposing, and unlike any creature he had ever seen. Their skin was tough and glimmered with a metallic sheen. Muscles rippled even beneath armor-like exoskeletons. And each of them carried weapons that looked like a cross between a spear and a laser cannon. Then he saw him, Xylox. The alien warrior was enormous, easily twice the size of a human. His eyes glowed faintly with a pale blue light, scars crisscrossed. His chest, trophies of battles Alex could only imagine. Every step Xylox took made the ground tremble slightly. He carried a massive blade, humming with energy, and his aura radiated strength, confidence, and the kind of danger that made even the bravest soldiers think twice. Alex swallowed hard. "Yep," he said aloud. "This is bad. Really bad." One of the alien commanders noticed Alex and raised a hand. The crowd of spectators, other aliens, some hovering, some standing tall, let out a collective roar. They were here to witness the duel. Their strongest champion versus humanity's representative. and then all eyes fell on Alex. He straightened as much as he could, still wincing from his headache. "Hi," he said. I'm Alex. Let's fight?" There was a long pause. Then Xylox tilted his head slightly, confused. Humans were supposed to be predictable. They were supposed to fear. They were supposed to obey. And yet, here was this creature, this human, stumbling, groaning, mumbling, and smiling? The crowd whispered among themselves. This was not what they expected. Alex rubbed his eyes. "Okay, plan," he muttered. "Don't die. Maybe make him dizzy. Coffee. Must get coffee." Before the duel could begin, a holographic announcer, some alien version of a ringmaster, spoke. "The challenge begins. Humanity versus Xylox, our champion." Xylox moved first. He lunged with incredible speed, swinging his massive blade in a wide arc. Alex barely managed to roll to the side, landing roughly on the crystalline ground. Sparks flew as the blade scraped across the surface. Alex groaned, pressing a hand to his forehead. Okay, maybe he's a bit strong. Xylox didn't attack immediately again. He circled Alex, testing, measuring. But Alex, still half asleep, tripped over a crystal root and ended up sprawled across the ground. He looked up at Xylox, grinning sheepishly. "Oops," he said. "Did I do that?" Xylox paused. He did not understand. Humans were supposed to fight with precision and strength, not this. Not clumsy, unpredictable, headache-ridden behavior. Something about Alex's chaotic energy made Xylox hesitate, the alien crowd murmured. Some were amused, others were confused. Few had ever seen such behavior in a human. Alex pushed himself up, wobbling. "Right," he said. "Let's try this again. Maybe a little dodge or roll, something like that." Xylox charged again, faster this time. Alex flailed, accidentally using a nearby crystal tree to slide behind it, narrowly avoiding the blade. The movement was completely unplanned, born out of panic and lack of coordination, but it worked. Xylox growled, clearly impressed despite himself. "Not bad," Xylox said in a low, rumbling voice. "But strength is everything." Alex groaned. "Strength? Pfft. I think maybe agility, luck, and caffeine, definitely caffeine." He patted his communicator, hoping for some backup. No response. Just silence. Figures. The first round of combat ended with Alex somehow on top. Unintentionally, yes, but alive. Xylox retreated, circling. Alex leaned against a crystal tree, wiping sweat from his brow. "Okay," he muttered. "Maybe I can do this. If I don't die first." As they paused, a smaller alien approached Alex. Unlike Xylox, it seemed curious rather than aggressive. It handed him a strange, glowing device. Alex squinted at it. "What's this?" he asked. "Use it to communicate," the alien said, voice soft but clear. "And maybe survive." Alex nodded. "Thanks, I think." He turned to face Xylox again. His headache still throbbed, his stomach still ached, and he still had no idea what he was doing, but something inside him lit up. A stubborn streak that humans were famous for. He squared his shoulders. "All right, big guy, let's see what humans can do." The alien crowd leaned in, watching intently. Xylox's expression was unreadable, but his eyes showed respect, born not of fear, but of curiosity. Alex muttered, "If I survive this, I'm definitely asking for a raise, or at least a nap." And with that, the duel was officially underway. The alien world stretched endlessly before Alex Jensen. Crystalline trees shimmered like glass in the sunlight, their jagged branches casting strange, fractured shadows on the ground. Every step Alex took made a soft crunch as he pressed his boots against the sharp, glittering surface. His headache still pulsed in time with the hum of the alien sky. Somehow, this was supposed to be a battlefield. Somehow, he was supposed to survive. Xylox waited on the far side of a crystalline plateau, arms folded over his massive chest. His glowing blue eyes followed every move Alex made. The alien warrior's sheer size and strength were intimidating, but it was his calm, precise observation that unsettled Alex more. Xylox didn't rush. He didn't panic. He didn't make mistakes. Alex rubbed his eyes and muttered, "Great, he's like a tank, with laser eyes." He stumbled over a jagged crystal protrusion, narrowly avoiding a sharp cut to his leg. Falling, flat on his stomach, Alex groaned. "Okay. First plan, survive. Second plan, maybe make him dizzy. Third plan, caffeine?" Xylox moved forward, every step causing the ground to tremble. Alex noticed something curious. The aliens' footfalls were heavy, but they weren't perfectly balanced. There was a rhythm, a pattern. A human could learn from it. Alex gritted his teeth. "All right, Jensen. Think. You can do this. Humans are clever. Humans are, hangover strong." He rolled to the side as Xylox lunged, the massive blade slicing through the air where his head had been moments before. Sparks erupted as the weapon struck the crystalline ground. Alex scrambled, up, glancing around desperately. He had nothing but his standard issue sidearm, a small energy pistol with limited range. That wouldn't hurt Xylox, not even a little. But humans had something aliens often underestimated: unpredictability. Alex spotted a thin, reflective crystal shard sticking out of the ground. He grabbed it and held it like a dagger. Not a perfect weapon, not a strong weapon, but a tool. And humans were good with tools. Xylox charged again, eyes fixed. Alex ducked, rolled, and slammed the crystal shard against the plateau's edge. The crystal vibrated under his strike, sending a loud, piercing tone through the air. Xylox's ears, or whatever equivalent he had, twitched. The alien faltered, momentarily distracted by the high-pitched resonance. Alex scrambled to his feet, panting. "Okay, that worked. Maybe luck," the alien crowd murmured. No human had ever moved like that. No human had ever used the environment so cleverly. They were supposed to fight with brute strength. And yet, this one moved erratically, with half the skill of a trained warrior, but twice the stubbornness. Xylox narrowed his eyes and adjusted his stance. "Interesting," he muttered, almost to himself. He lunged again, but this time Alex didn't just dodge. He used the momentum of his roll to slide behind a large crystal tree, hiding briefly from view. Xylox's swing struck nothing but crystal, sending shards flying like tiny stars. Alex's mind raced. "Okay, next step. Keep him guessing. Make him angry. Humans are stubborn. Humans are really annoying when you think about it." Xylox approached cautiously, eyes scanning. Alex grinned despite the pain in his head. "Hi there!" he shouted, waving one hand. "Bet you didn't expect me to talk, huh?" The alien froze, then tilted his head, confused. Aliens weren't supposed to communicate during battle. Humans were supposed to either surrender or fight, not chat. Alex took advantage of the moment. He picked up a chunk of broken crystal from the ground and hurled it toward Xylox's side. The shard bounced harmlessly off his armor, but it was enough to startle him. Xylox growled low in his throat. Alex ducked behind another crystal formation and peeked around it. "See? Distracted. I'm a genius. Kind of." Xylox's approach became more deliberate. His strikes were measured, slower, but more dangerous. Each swing was designed to test Alex's reactions. But humans, Alex realized, were not predictable, and unpredictability, he decided, was his weapon. He ran forward, tripping over another crystal root, and accidentally slid into a shallow crystal pond. The water glowed faintly, reacting to his presence. Alex realized that the glowing liquid could make Xylox hesitate, if only for a second. "Perfect," he whispered. He waved at Xylox, grinning. "Come on! Step in the pond, I dare you!" Xylox's first instinct was to strike, but the glow of the pond seemed to confuse him. He stopped, hesitant. His glowing eyes flickered. Alex saw the opening. Using his human ingenuity, he grabbed another shard of crystal and threw it across the pond. The reflection and the glow created a confusing visual pattern. Xylox hesitated, again, and Alex used the moment to sprint to higher ground. He panted heavily, wiping sweat and blood from a small cut on his arm. "Humans survive with brains, not brawn," he muttered, grinning. "Take that, giant laser eye." The alien. Crowd was astonished. This human, disheveled, hungover, and clumsy, was surviving. More than that, he was forcing Xylox to adapt. Aliens prided themselves on strength, precision, and skill. But here was something alien to them: human creativity. Xylox growled, his frustration clear. Humans were supposed to be predictable, not clever, not resourceful, not stubborn in ways that made sense only to themselves. Alex took a deep breath. His headache throbbed, his stomach protested, but his mind was alive. He looked at Xylox, who crouched slightly, waiting for his next move. "Okay," Alex said aloud. "Let's see how humans really fight. Step 1, chaos. Step 2, improvise. Step 3, survive." He grabbed a few more shards of crystal and began tossing them strategically, creating reflections and sounds that confused the alien warrior. He ducked, rolled, and even leaped over small crystal outcroppings. Every move was unpredictable, and every move forced Xylox to adjust. Xylox was powerful, yes, but humans were different. They were adaptable. They were clever. And Alex, in all his messy, headache-ridden glory, was showing that to perfection. The duel continued across the crystalline landscape. Sparks flew, shards of crystal scattered, and the alien crowd leaned forward, mesmerized. They had come expecting a quick demonstration of strength. Instead, they witnessed something entirely new: human ingenuity, creativity, and stubborn courage. Hours, or what felt like hours, passed. Alex was exhausted, his body aching, his brain screaming for rest. Yet every time Xylox struck, Alex found a way to turn it to his advantage. He hid behind crystal formations, used reflections to distract, and even created small traps using shards and loose crystal fragments. Each move was a gamble. But humans were risk-takers, and they could survive when rules didn't apply. Finally, Xylox paused, chest heaving. Sweat, or whatever passed for alien sweat, gleamed on his armor. Alex leaned against a crystal tree, panting but grinning. "Okay," he said. "I think we're starting to get somewhere." Xylox studied him, eyes glowing faintly. "Impressive," he said. "Human, unpredictable, not weak, not simple, very clever." Alex grinned despite the headache. "Thanks. I like to think of it as style." The alien crowd murmured in amazement. Humans, they realized, were not just creatures to underestimate. They were survivors, thinkers, and unexpectedly dangerous in ways strength alone could not measure. Xylox took a step back, giving Alex space. "You are different from what I expected," he admitted. Alex wiped his forehead and stumbled slightly. "Yeah, we humans are full of surprises, hangovers included." For the first time, Xylox didn't strike immediately. He observed, cautious but intrigued. Alex, still wobbling slightly, realized something important. He had survived the first encounter, not by strength, not by skill, but by being human, clever, unpredictable, and stubborn. And somehow, despite the pain, the exhaustion, and the headache, Alex felt a spark of pride. Humanity had made an impression, not through raw power, but through ingenuity, courage, and determination. He looked at Xylox and said, "All right, big guy, this is just the beginning. Humans never give up, not ever." The alien warrior's glowing eyes flickered, almost with respect. "We shall see," Xylox said. Alex smiled. "Oh, you will see." And somewhere in the distance, the alien crowd leaned forward, watching closely. They had come expecting a show of strength. Instead, they were witnessing the first lesson in why humans could never be predicted, underestimated, or defeated by strength alone. For Alex Jensen, the hungover Marine, the first contact had been chaotic, painful, and exhausting. But it had been a victory in its own way. Humanity had arrived on this alien battlefield, not with brute force, but with brains, creativity, and the stubborn courage that defined them. And the fight was far from over. The alien world stretched endlessly, a surreal landscape of glowing crystals and jagged terrain. Alex Jensen, still rubbing his throbbing head, took a deep breath. He had survived the first contact with Xylox, but he knew the real test was only beginning. Survival alone would not earn humanity respect. He had to adapt, improvise, and show why humans were so unpredictable. Alex's mind raced, still muddled from his hangover but sharpened by urgency. Every step forward revealed new challenges. Crystal spires that twisted like glass, pools of glowing liquid that reflected the alien sky in confusing patterns, and towering cliffs that seemed almost alive. Xylox observed him silently from a distance, muscles tensed, every movement measured. The alien warrior was powerful, precise, and intimidating, but Alex noticed something crucial. Xylox relied entirely on strength and experience. He had patterns, routines, and expectations. And humans? Humans thrived in chaos. "All right, Jensen," he muttered under his breath. "Time to show them what we're made of. Brains over brawn. Always." The first test came almost immediately. As Alex scrambled over a sharp crystal ridge, he spotted a small cluster of glowing crystal spikes surrounding a narrow pass. To Xylox, this seemed like a simple path forward. To Alex, it was an opportunity. He grabbed a loose shard and threw it toward one of the spikes. The shard bounced unpredictably, reflecting the sunlight in a blinding flash. Xylox blinked, momentarily stunned. Alex grinned. "Not bad for a hangover brain," he whispered. Taking advantage of the distraction, Alex sprinted through the pass, careful not to touch the glowing liquid below. The alien's eyes followed him, calculating, predicting, adjusting. But every time Xylox struck, Alex's improvisation created new obstacles. Shards reflected light, crystal pillars formed temporary cover, and even the terrain itself became a weapon. Humans, he realized, could turn anything into an advantage. Xylox finally lunged with a massive swing, aiming to catch Alex off guard. Alex rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. The movement carried him into a shallow crater filled with glowing liquid. Instantly, the reflection confused Xylox. His eyes, trained for precision and strength, struggled to adapt to the unpredictable human movements. Alex took a deep breath and whispered to himself, "Step 1, chaos. Step 2, creativity. Step 3, maybe some luck?" He kicked up a shard of glowing crystal, sending it flying toward Xylox's feet. The reflection dazzled him, forcing the alien warrior to pause mid-strike. Alex didn't hesitate. He grabbed a jagged crystal piece and hurled it like a javelin, bouncing it off a nearby spire. The shard skidded across the ground, narrowly missing Xylox's armor, and ricocheted unpredictably into another spire, sending sparks and flashes into the air. The alien stumbled back slightly. The crowd murmured in astonishment. No human had ever used the environment so cleverly. They were used to seeing strength and precision, but Alex relied on improvisation, speed, and instinct. Humans, it seemed, were as unpredictable as the universe itself. Alex took advantage of the momentary distraction. He sprinted toward a narrow ridge, pausing only to catch his breath. The hangover pounded in his skull, but adrenaline sharpened his mind. He spotted another glowing pond, this one with shallow steps carved into the crystal floor. An idea formed. "Okay," Alex muttered. "Let's see if he likes a little confusion." He dashed into the pond, careful to make splashes that reflected the alien sky in brilliant colors. Xylox approached cautiously, following every movement with laser-like focus. Alex jumped from step to step, creating reflections and distortions that made it almost impossible for Xylox to predict where he would land next. Every splash, every movement, every shard of crystal became part of a pattern only Alex understood. The alien warrior growled. His precision and strength were unmatched, yet the human was not simply dodging. He was using the environment as a weapon. The crowd leaned forward, silent with awe. Humans were supposed to be weak compared to Xylox, yet here one was, turning chaos into strategy. Alex paused briefly, catching his breath. "Step 4. Trick him," he whispered. "If he can't predict, he can't win." He picked up a handful of loose shards and threw them into the air. They reflected light in all directions, creating illusions of multiple Alexes. Xylox swung his massive blade, slicing through one reflection after another, but each strike was wasted. The real Alex darted to the side, grinning despite his throbbing headache. Xylox paused, clearly frustrated. He adjusted his strategy, relying less on brute force and more on observation. He began predicting patterns, anticipating movements. But Alex had no pattern. His actions were erratic, fueled by instinct, luck, and a stubborn refusal to give up. The duel continued across the alien landscape. Alex leaped from crystal pillar to pillar, slid down glowing slopes, and used shards to distract and confuse his opponent. Xylox's strikes were precise, devastating, and relentless, yet Alex survived each encounter. Humans, it seemed, thrived in unpredictability. After what felt like hours, Alex found himself on a narrow plateau overlooking a massive crystalline canyon. He paused, chest heaving, and surveyed the area. The canyon below offered new possibilities. He could use the steep slopes, the reflective crystals, and the glowing pools to create traps and mislead Xylox. "All right, big guy," Alex muttered. "Time to see how smart you really are." He dashed forward, leaping from crystal spire to spire, creating illusions and reflections that made it appear as though he was everywhere at once. Xylox growled, swinging his blade with incredible speed, but each strike met nothing but empty air or fractured reflections. Alex's improvisation worked. Xylox's confidence began to waver. Strength alone could not predict chaos, and the human was the embodiment of chaos. The alien crowd was amazed. They had come expecting a simple display of power, but what they saw was intelligence, ingenuity, and adaptability. Alex spotted a narrow crystal bridge spanning the canyon. He ran across, careful to stay balanced. Xylox followed, but Alex had anticipated this. He kicked a shard from the bridge, creating a small rock slide that diverted the alien warrior's path and forced him to pause. Alex crouched, catching his breath. His body ached, but his mind was alive. "Humans survive with brains, not brawn," he whispered. "Take notes, big guy." Xylox's eyes flickered with admiration, though he did not lower his weapon. "You are clever," he admitted. "Unpredictable, resourceful." Alex grinned. "Thanks. We humans pride ourselves on that. And stubbornness. Don't forget, stubbornness," the alien warrior growled, charging once more. This time, Alex was ready. He leaped onto a crystal spire, landing lightly despite his exhaustion. He used the glowing reflection to confuse Xylox, then slid down a slope that sent shards of crystal flying toward the alien's side. Xylox swung, deflecting some shards, but Alex used the distraction to strike with a small, sharp piece of crystal, grazing Xylox's armor. It wasn't a wound, it wouldn't even slow him down, but it was enough to make Xylox pause. He had underestimated the human's ingenuity. He had assumed strength would dominate, but humans were not predictable. They adapted. They improvised. They survived. Alex smiled, wincing slightly from a cut on his arm. Humans, small, messy, and impossible to predict, he muttered. And we still fight back. The alien crowd erupted in murmurs. Even Xylox's allies were impressed. Humans were not what they had expected. They were not just creatures to be crushed underfoot. They were clever, resourceful, and stubborn beyond reason. Alex spotted a narrow ledge above the canyon. He leapt onto it, landing safely, and waved at Xylox. "Come on! You're gonna have to do better than that!" Xylox tilted his head. He had never encountered an opponent like this. He had strength, skill, and precision, but humans were unpredictable. Their creativity, adaptability, and stubborn courage made them more dangerous than any brute force. Alex crouched on the ledge, taking a deep breath. His headache still throbbed, his body screamed for rest, but his mind was sharp. For the first time, he felt the thrill of the challenge. He was not just surviving, he was showing why humans could never be underestimated. Xylox growled low in his throat. "You are remarkable," he admitted. "I have underestimated humans, no more." Alex grinned. "Told you. We humans don't give up, ever, even hungover." The alien warrior's glowing eyes flickered with respect. "We shall see how far your ingenuity can take you." Alex nodded. "Oh, you will see." The sun, or whatever passed for a sun in this alien sky, began to dip lower, casting long shadows across the crystal landscape. The duel was far from over. Alex Jensen, hungover Marine and human representative, had survived the first real test. He had used ingenuity, improvisation, and human stubbornness to turn the battlefield into an advantage. And Xylox, the alien warrior, had learned something important. Strength alone did not define power. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and relentless. For Alex, the fight was exhausting, painful, and chaotic, but he had proven a point. Humanity would not be underestimated, and as he prepared for the next clash, he felt a spark of pride. Humans survived, humans adapted, humans endured, and sometimes humans thrived in chaos. The alien sun cast long, shimmering shadows over the crystalline landscape as Alex Jensen crouched behind a jagged shard of glass-like crystal. Sweat dripped down his face, mixing with the dust and grime of the battlefield. His headache pulsed like a drum, but adrenaline had sharpened his mind. Xylox, the alien warrior, towered in the open, his massive frame gleaming in the light. Every movement radiated strength, skill, and deadly intent. Alex rubbed his forehead. "Okay. Survive, improvise, confuse, survive some more," he muttered. "Right. Got it." He glanced around the alien terrain. It was a playground for creativity. Pools of glowing liquid reflected the sky. Jagged crystal spires provided cover, and loose shards of crystal could be used as projectiles. Humans had a gift for turning anything into an advantage. And Alex, headache or not, intended to exploit. It fully, Xylox shifted, his glowing blue eyes fixed on Alex. Every step he took made the ground tremble. He was fast, powerful, and precise. Everything Alex was not. But unpredictability, Alex knew, could be a weapon as sharp as any blade. The alien warrior lunged first, swinging his massive blade in a wide arc. Alex rolled to the side, feeling the rush of air from the blade. He scrambled to his feet, spotting a cluster of crystal shards nearby. Step 1. Make him dizzy, Alex whispered. He grabbed a handful and threw them toward Xylox. The shards caught the light and reflected it into the alien's eyes. Xylox staggered slightly, not from pain, but from surprise. Alex used the moment to dash toward a narrow ledge above a glowing pool. He jumped onto the ledge, crouching low, and used the reflections in the water to confuse Xylox further. For a moment, the alien's massive form seemed multiplied in the sparkling surface below, creating illusions of multiple humans. Xylox growled low in his throat. "Clever human," he admitted, "but strength will overcome tricks." Alex grinned, ignoring the pounding in his head. "Tricks are my specialty," he whispered. "And humans? Well, we never give up." He leapt from the ledge, landing on a crystal spire that arched over a deep canyon. Xylox followed, swinging his blade, but Alex anticipated the attack. He kicked loose shards from the spire, sending them tumbling toward Xylox's feet. The alien stumbled slightly, momentarily thrown off balance. "Ha!" Alex muttered. "Even the strongest have weaknesses." The duel escalated as Alex began, using the alien environment creatively. He slid down slopes covered in glowing liquid, leaving trails of reflection that misled Xylox's vision. He bounced off crystal pillars, creating echoes and flashes that made the alien hesitate. Each move was chaotic, unpredictable, and risky, but it worked. Humans thrived where strength alone could not dominate. Xylox's attacks became more deliberate. He began analyzing Alex's movements, trying to anticipate the chaos. But Alex had no pattern. Every leap, roll, and throw was a mix of instinct and improvisation. He darted between crystal formations, turning the terrain into a series of traps and illusions. Even Xylox's immense skill struggled to adapt to the human's erratic style. Alex paused briefly, breathing heavily, and whispered to himself, "Time for the big move." He scanned the battlefield, spotting a narrow canyon below with jagged, crystal walls. An idea formed. He sprinted toward the canyon, kicking shards into the air to distract Xylox. The alien warrior followed, swinging and striking, but Alex anticipated the attack. He leapt onto a crystal outcropping above the canyon, then rolled down a slope covered in reflective liquid. The reflections and movement created multiple images of him, confusing Xylox completely. Alex grinned despite the pounding headache. "Step 2. Turn confusion into advantage," he muttered. He darted across the canyon floor, using the jagged terrain to his advantage. Each movement was unpredictable, forcing Xylox to adjust constantly. The alien warrior's strikes were powerful, but Alex's improvisation made them less effective. Every missed strike, every hesitation, highlighted the human's cleverness. Xylox growled, frustration clear in his glowing eyes. "You are not like other humans," he admitted. "Clever, resourceful, annoying." Alex grinned. "Thanks. We humans pride ourselves on that. And stubbornness. Can't forget stubbornness." He spotted a narrow ledge above a glowing pool and climbed swiftly. From this vantage point, he could see the entire battlefield. He tossed more shards into the air, creating dazzling reflections, and then jumped into the glowing pool below. The water amplified the reflections, creating a confusing maze of light. Xylox lunged again, swinging his blade, but the reflections made it almost impossible to predict Alex's location. Alex moved quickly, leaping from shard to shard, using reflections, shadows, and terrain to mislead Xylox. The alien warrior's frustration grew. Strength alone could not overcome creativity, and humans had an abundance of it. The crowd of alien spectators murmured in amazement. No human had ever survived like this. They had expected a simple display of brute force. Instead, they witnessed ingenuity, adaptability, and the stubborn courage of humanity. Alex crouched on a crystal outcropping, catching his breath. His body ached, his head pounded, but his mind was sharp. He had turned chaos into strategy, using the alien terrain as a weapon. Humans survived by thinking, adapting, and refusing to be predictable. Xylox studied him carefully. "You are remarkable," he admitted. "Your cleverness is unexpected. I underestimated humans." Alex wiped sweat from his brow. "Told you, we humans don't give up, ever, even hungover." The alien warrior growled low in frustration. "We shall see how far your ingenuity can take you," Xylox said. Alex smiled. "Oh, you will see," he whispered. "Humans always find a way." The duel intensified as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the crystalline landscape. Alex used every trick he knew: reflections, terrain, and improvisation. Xylox relied on strength and skill, but Alex's unpredictability forced him to adapt constantly. The alien warrior realized that humans were not easily defeated. They were clever, resourceful, and relentless. Alex found himself on a narrow ridge overlooking a massive crystalline canyon. He paused, surveying the battlefield. He had an idea. Using the narrow canyon, the reflective pools, and jagged crystal walls, he could create a trap Xylox would never expect. He sprinted down the canyon floor, tossing shards into the air to distract Xylox. The alien lunged, but Alex anticipated the strike, rolling and sliding through the terrain with ease. He used reflections and light to create multiple images of himself, confusing the alien warrior further. Xylox's frustration grew. Humans were supposed to be weak, predictable, and easy to defeat. This one was neither. He had strength, but Alex had creativity, adaptability, and courage. Alex crouched on a shard, catching his breath. "Step 3, the trap," he whispered. He spotted a narrow canyon with jagged walls and reflective pools. Using his speed, he darted across the canyon floor, creating reflections and illusions that made it seem like he was everywhere at once. Xylox lunged again, but the reflections confused him. He swung his massive blade, striking only air and reflections. Alex grinned, leaping to the side and rolling to safety. The alien crowd murmured in amazement. This human, disheveled, messy, and unpredictable, had turned the battlefield into an advantage. Humans were not merely survivors. They were clever, adaptable, and relentless. Alex prepared for the next move. The trap was ready. Xylox would be forced to follow, and when he did, the terrain, reflections, and illusions would work in Alex's favor. The alien warrior charged, muscles tensed, eyes glowing. Alex darted to the side, leading him toward the trap. Xylox followed, unaware of the narrow path ahead, the reflective pools and the jagged crystals waiting to confuse him. As Xylox stepped into the trap, reflections and light disoriented him. He swung, striking shards that bounced off walls and reflected into his eyes. Alex moved quickly, leaping from shard to shard, creating multiple illusions. Xylox struggled to adjust, his strikes becoming less effective. Alex grinned, despite the pain in his head and body. "Humans survive with brains, not brawn," he muttered, "and we never give up." The alien warrior stopped, chest heaving. He had never encountered an opponent like this. Strength alone could not defeat creativity, adaptability, and stubborn courage. Humans were different. Alex crouched, breathing heavily, watching Xylox carefully. He had survived the most dangerous part of the duel, and he had turned the battlefield into an advantage. Humans were clever, resourceful, and relentless. Xylox finally spoke, his glowing eyes flickering with respect. "You are clever, resourceful, and stubborn. I underestimated humans." Alex smiled, wincing slightly from a cut on his arm. "Told you, we humans never give up. And sometimes, we thrive in chaos." The alien crowd murmured in awe. Humans were not to be underestimated. Strength alone did not define power. Creativity, adaptability, and determination made them dangerous, unpredictable, and respected. As the sun set, casting the crystalline world in shades of gold and purple, Alex prepared for the next phase. He had proven a point. Humans could survive, adapt, and outthink even the strongest warrior, and Xylox had learned an important lesson. Strength alone was not enough. Humanity's ingenuity, creativity, and stubborn courage made them a force to be reckoned with. Alex Jensen, hungover Marine, had survived the turning point, and he knew the final confrontation was coming. Humans were clever, unpredictable, and unstoppable when they refused to give up. The stage was set. The final act was about to begin. The crystalline battlefield shimmered under the alien sun, casting fractured rainbows across the jagged terrain. Alex Jensen, battered, bruised, and still nursing his headache, stood on a narrow ridge overlooking the vast canyon below. His body ached, but his mind was alive and alert. He had survived Xylox's raw power, turned chaos into advantage, and shown that humans were clever, resourceful, and stubborn. Now, the final act was about to begin. Xylox stepped into view, his massive frame silhouetted against the glowing horizon. He had recovered from the earlier traps and distractions, and his glowing blue eyes were fixed on Alex with a mix of respect and determination. Every alien on the battlefield watched intently. This was not merely a duel. This was a lesson, an introduction to humanity's ingenuity. Alex took a deep breath, wincing as the pounding in his skull reminded him of the night before. "All right, Jensen," he muttered. "Final round. Time to show them why humans never give up. Brains over brawn, always." He scanned the battlefield quickly. The terrain offered countless possibilities. Jagged crystal spires, glowing pools, reflective shards, and narrow ledges. Humans had always thrived by adapting, improvising, and using their surroundings. Alex's plan was simple in principle, but difficult in execution. Turn the environment into a weapon, confuse Xylox completely, and create an opening. Xylox lunged first, swinging his massive blade in a wide, sweeping arc. Alex rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. Sparks flew as the blade struck a crystal spire, sending shards tumbling into the air. Alex grabbed a handful of loose shards and hurled them at Xylox, the reflections creating disorienting flashes of light. The alien warrior faltered slightly, momentarily blinded by the brilliance. "Clever human," Xylox muttered, voice low and rumbling. "But strength will prevail." Alex grinned, despite his pounding headache. "Strength alone doesn't win fights, big guy. Humans survive with brains." He darted toward a narrow ridge, overlooking a glowing pool, leaping across jagged crystal shards, and using the reflections in the water to create multiple illusions of himself. Xylox's eyes followed him, trying to anticipate, but the reflections and unpredictable movements made it nearly impossible. Alex's mind worked fast. He noticed a large cluster of crystal spikes forming a natural corridor leading to a small plateau. If he could lure Xylox there, he could use the reflections, narrow passages, and loose shards to create the ultimate trap. He ran, leaving a trail of glowing water behind him, splashing strategically to confuse his opponent. Xylox followed, stepping carefully to avoid misjudging the unstable terrain. Alex rolled onto the plateau, crouching behind a large crystal shard and preparing for the decisive move. Step 1, confusion. Step 2, environment. Step 3, victory. Alex muttered under his breath. Xylox charged the plateau, swinging his massive blade. Alex leaped to the side, letting the alien warrior's momentum carry him forward. Xylox's strikes shattered crystal shards and splashed water, but Alex used the chaos to his advantage. He kicked loose shards toward Xylox's feet, forcing him to stumble slightly. The alien growled. "You are persistent," Xylox admitted. "Resourceful, clever." Alex grinned, ignoring the pain in his body. "Persistence is human nature, and humans never give up. He scanned the battlefield quickly, noticing the perfect alignment of reflective crystals, narrow ledges, and jagged shards. This was his chance. Using quick improvisation, he kicked loose shards into the glowing pool, sending dazzling reflections into Xylox's eyes. Then he rolled to the side, creating multiple false images of himself across the plateau. Xylox swung, his blade again, slicing through the illusions. Sparks flew, reflections shimmered, and the alien's frustration grew. He was powerful, precise, and relentless. Yet the unpredictable human kept adapting faster than he could anticipate. Alex took a deep breath. "Step 4. The opening," he whispered. He noticed a narrow passage between two massive crystal spires. If Xylox followed, he could use the reflections and tight space to slow the alien down and create an opportunity for a precise strike. He darted through the passage, keeping just out of reach. Xylox followed, stepping carefully but still moving with raw power. Alex leapt onto a small crystal ledge, then kicked shards downward into the narrow passage, creating a cascading shower of sparkling obstacles. Xylox hesitated, momentarily slowed. By the unexpected barrage, Alex seized the moment. He grabbed a jagged shard and hurled it directly at a reflective surface, aiming to create a blinding flash that would mask his next movement. Xylox swung his massive blade, but the reflection confused him. Alex rolled to the side, landing behind another crystal spire. The alien growled in frustration. Humans were not supposed to survive like this. Strength and skill alone should have been enough. Yet here was a human, battered and bleeding, using creativity, environment, and sheer stubbornness to survive, and even gain the upper hand. Alex grinned despite the pain. "Humans thrive in chaos," he muttered. "And we adapt faster than anyone expects." He moved quickly, leaping from shard to shard, using reflections and glowing water to create multiple illusions. Xylox swung, struck shards, and nearly lost his balance several times. Each misstep gave Alex a little more confidence, a little more control of the battlefield. The alien warrior growled low, frustration evident in every movement. "You are extraordinary," he admitted. "I have underestimated humans." Alex paused briefly, catching his breath. "Underestimate humans at your own risk," he replied. "We survive, adapt, and never quit." He spotted the perfect opening. A narrow crystal bridge spanned a small chasm, leading directly to a plateau, surrounded by reflective pools. If Xylox stepped onto the bridge, the combination of reflections, narrow space, and crystal shards would slow him down enough for Alex to create a decisive maneuver. Alex sprinted toward the bridge, leaving behind a trail of glowing water and loose shards to create multiple distractions. Xylox followed, eyes glowing and muscles tensed. Alex leapt onto the bridge, crouching low, and kicked shards toward Xylox's feet. The alien stumbled slightly, forced to adjust his steps carefully. Alex smiled, adrenaline sharpening his mind. "Step 5, the final move," he whispered. He positioned himself at the far edge of the plateau, ready to use the narrow space, reflections, and shards to create one last surprise. Xylox stepped onto the bridge, carefully avoiding loose shards. His glowing eyes scanned the environment, trying to anticipate the human's movements. But Alex had no pattern. Every step, jump, and roll was unpredictable, chaotic, and designed to confuse. Alex rolled off the edge of the bridge, landing safely on the reflective plateau below. He grabbed a handful of shards and flung them into the glowing pools, creating a dazzling display of light and reflections. Xylox lunged, swinging his massive blade, but the reflections made it nearly impossible to locate the real Alex. The alien growled, frustration and respect mixing in his glowing eyes. "You are remarkable, clever, unpredictable, annoying." Alex grinned, ignoring the pain in his body. Thanks. We humans pride ourselves on being stubborn, clever, and impossible to predict. He darted between crystal pillars, creating reflections and illusions that made it appear as though he was everywhere at once. Xylox swung again and again, striking only empty space. Every movement Alex made was unpredictable, chaotic, and dangerous in its own way. Finally, Alex saw his opening. Using the narrow passage, reflective pools, and jagged shards, he created a funnel that forced Xylox into a tight space. The alien's strength was immense, but the narrow corridor limited his movements. Alex leapt, using the momentum of his roll and the reflections to confuse Xylox completely. With a precise strike, Alex pushed a shard into a reflective surface, creating a blinding flash that obscured his position. Xylox swung blindly, missing completely. Alex rolled behind a crystal pillar, catching his breath. He had survived. He had adapted. He had outsmarted Xylox, not with strength, but with ingenuity, creativity, and human stubbornness. The alien warrior finally stopped, chest heaving, eyes glowing with respect. "You have proven humans are not to be underestimated," Xylox admitted. "Clever, resourceful, and relentless. You have earned my respect." Alex smiled, wincing from a cut on his arm. "Thanks. Humans always fight to survive, and we never give up. Even hungover." The alien crowd erupted in awe. Humans were not just creatures to be crushed underfoot. They were clever, adaptable, and relentless. Xylox had learned an important lesson. Strength alone did not define power. Humans could survive, adapt, and outthink even the strongest warriors. Alex took a deep breath, exhausted but triumphant. He had survived the ultimate test, turned chaos into advantage, and proven that humanity could never be underestimated. Xylox stepped forward, extending a massive hand. "You are extraordinary," he said. "Human ingenuity and courage are unmatched. I will carry this lesson to my people." Alex shook the alien warrior's hand firmly. "Humans fight with brains, courage, and stubbornness," he said. "Remember that." The alien crowd murmured in approval. Humanity had arrived, not with brute force, but with cleverness, adaptability, and determination. Alex Jensen, hungover Marine and human representative, had turned what seemed impossible into a triumph. The sun set over the crystalline world, casting golden light across the jagged terrain. Alex looked out over the battlefield, battered but proud. Humanity had shown that even against the